So today I am down in the pet room and I'm going to discuss senior guinea pigs with you. I had the great question of when are guinea pigs considered senior? So their average lifespan is 5 to 7 years. Some people get lucky and have them for 8, 9, or even 10. But definitely the average is 5 to 7. So my personal opinion is once they're about 4, for some guinea pigs you might start to see age-related differences. Yes, some piggies aren't going to show any signs till they're 5 or 6, but some of them it's as early as 4. So what to look out for the very first signs that they're kind of maybe getting older are slowing down. Perhaps they don't do popcorns or run those random laps anymore. Maybe you find that they sleep a bit more or sleep a bit more soundly. Those are just average, normal things to see. Some guinea pigs, it's normal for them to lose a little bit of weight because they're not having as much muscle tone from not being as active. For the weight loss though, weight loss is often a sign of illness, so definitely take your senior pig for a vet check to know that the weight that they are at is a healthy, safe weight for them. So an example I could say is Calvin. In his prime, he was 1,100 grams. When he became a senior, he stood at about 1,000 grams. He stayed at that for quite a long time, and then once his health kind of deteriorated for really bad arthritis and he was having the heart problems, he was sitting at 900 grams or less. But obviously we took him to the vets all the way through his senior years so that we knew why he was weighing less and we're treating him accordingly. Some piggies, I can think of Hobbs, he was 1,100 grams and he was 1,000 grams in his senior years and he stayed steady at 1,000 grams. He had been to the vets, same thing, so we knew that his 1,000 grams was his senior weight. So some pigs you might not notice a difference, others you might notice their weight is down just a bit. So please get them health checks so that you can know that that's their safe senior weight. So as they get older, just like people and other pets, they can get arthritis, sore joints, be a little bit stiffer to move around. So for these guinea pigs, there are things that we can do for them. Number one thing I highly recommend you get your guinea pigs on is the Joint Support by Oxbow. This has glucosamine and it is excellent for healthy joint support. So if your guinea pig's starting to seem a little slower or stiff with walking, I would highly recommend starting this. Glucosamine is something that takes a bit to get into their system and for their joints to repair as much as they can. So it could be up to a month before you start seeing results. And if you're picking it up on the first signs of them moving a little rougher, this could actually help them without further medication. Now for our guinea pigs that are suffering from arthritis, we can make their cage even softer. So what I recommend is vet bed. That's what Willie sleeps on. His bed is on top of the vet bed. Just gives extra cushion to soften the pressure being put on his joints while he's just sitting there laying. Another thing that you can get into if they are not comfortable with a softer cage or joint support is you can get into pain medications. Obviously you're going to need a vet visit for that, for them to be assessed. Willie does have arthritis. I would say it's mild, and he is on a very low dose of Medicam once a day. My guinea pig right now, Bullseye, is 4 years old, and I'd say just now I'm starting to notice he's a little more stiff when he's walking around. Sometimes instead of walking with his back legs, he kind of hops forward, which to me indicates that he's having sore joints in his hips. So I've started him on the joint support tabs. I'm going to see how that goes, and of course if things progress to look like he's more uncomfortable or if he loses weight because he's uncomfortable, we'll go to the vets to be assessed if he needs pain management. But for right now, he still gets up to eat, drink, move around. It's just sometimes I can start to tell that he looks a little more rough. My other two pigs that are seniors are Littlefoot and Pecan. They're 4 years old as well. But for them, I don't notice any difference. They zoom around, they still popcorn, they play with Reese. They don't seem to be slowing down at all. Willie's going to be over 7. He sleeps a bit more than the other pigs, but for almost 7 years old and having a bit of arthritis, he gets around great. So it's going to be different from pig to pig. Some people's pigs could live their entire life right up to, 7, 8 or 9, and you might never notice that they were having a rough go. It all depends on their genetics. So other things that we can do for senior guinea pigs is make things easier for them in the cage. So an example would be, instead of a hay rack that's up high, maybe just a hay pile to make them have easier access to hay, to encourage them to eat more so that they don't have to work too hard for their hay if that seems to be a trouble. Other things is, if you have lofts or levels, perhaps you need to consider taking them down or making the ramp less steep. Some guinea pigs, as they age, aren't going to want to go up to upper levels, so don't make their food source and their water source on the upper level. Just keep it as like a little lounging area where they can choose to go up or not. And if you notice they're stopping with going up, then you can probably take it down because they must not be interested in that. Another thing, as I mentioned before, is really soft bedding. If you're somebody who uses fleece, putting the vet bed on top of your fleece cage liners is great. If you're using bedding instead of aspen shavings, maybe you could switch their sleeping area to really soft Carefresh or something of that nature. The most important thing is getting health checks when your guinea pigs are senior. I recommend at least once a year. Twice a year would be great. For Calvin, we were going 2 or 3 times a year just to stay on top of any issues he had and to be able to assess him, because he needed pain medication in order to live a full life near the end. So we were constantly taking him in to be assessed to see how his quality of life was, and he had a great time right up until the very end. So senior guinea pigs, depends on the pig, right? But as soon as they're 4 years old, I'd keep my eye out for the slowing down, the not being as active, maybe looking a bit sore possibly for some of them, and taking them in for their health checks. Okay, so if you have any questions, leave them down below. Bye guys!